Hey there. Welcome into Impact Over Attention. It's every Monday and Friday at noon Central. And we talk about different ways that you can impact your business this week. That's it. We're here to hear great stories, talk to people about interesting things they do and how they can just make a bigger impact this week, because we have a lot of big dreams, a lot of things that we want to help and be a part of, but unless we're focused on what impact we can make this week, a lot of times those things can fall apart. And this week we've been talking about kind of the big why. Why do we do what we do, and why are we working on certain things? And just part of being a human and doing work is why do we come to work? And so I'm excited because we will be talking today particularly about something that I deal with. That's a big issue for me, and I know it is for a lot of entrepreneurs, is I get super distracted. There's a lot of different reasons that we can become distracted, but what if we can't just seem to get past distractions certain days or certain weeks? What if we're just off somewhere else, right? So what are we supposed to do when we can't figure out, well, why that's causing us so much issue? And that's personally, it's been one of the bigger things that I've had to deal with as being a business owner throughout my life. Is I've had to step in and get work done that I didn't want to get done, and do things I didn't want to do, because if they didn't get done, then no one would do them and things would fall apart, right? So shout out to everybody out in comments. I see Chandra Thomas, good morning from Garland, Texas. Good to see you, Chandra, today. Anne tuning in from Little Elm. Where's everybody from? That's a good question. Where's everybody tuning in from? Put it in the comments over here. Anne, good to see you today. Mark Steele, the man, is here. Chicago's in the house. Jake Jordan is hashtag invincible. Let's go with that. I'm invincible. It's Friday, right? Hiram, good to see you again this week. Thanks for coming back. We're glad to have you here this week. Everyone, hang out in the comments, talk to each other, ask questions, make comments, because I'm about to bring on a guest that you will love. She's so fantastic. I've met her pretty recently. We do a clubhouse on Tuesdays at noon Central, and we talk about God-centered success and what that looks like. And we do that with several people, and Cassandra is one of the moderators. So without further ado, I'd love to bring her on, because we're going to talk about what we do when we're distracted, whether it's a small thing in our day or it's, hey, where should I be going in life, right? We can be distracted by so many things. So let's bring on my friend, Cassandra Robinson. Cassandra, turn on your video. There you go.
Hey there.
Hey, how are you today?
Doing well. Thanks for inviting me on the show today. Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to see you. So tell everyone a little bit about Cassandra.
Yeah, well, let's see. I am a brand builder. I started building my brand about a couple years ago on LinkedIn specifically. My background is in HR and recruiting. About a year and a half ago, my husband and I moved cross country to pay off our student loan debt. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that loan debt that we are lugging since graduating college. So we decided to move cross country, pay off that loan debt, and then that's when I started really networking on LinkedIn, using the platform to meet people in the area, and where I really fell in love with the content creation process.
Mm-hmm.
I am a believer. I love the Lord Jesus Christ, and that's been a big message that I am sharing right now on LinkedIn and just on social media in general. I think we need to be lights in a dark place, and that's our calling and commission as his fellow believers and disciples. So yeah, it's a little bit about myself. I love connecting with people. I love communicating and bringing people together for the sake of a common goal and purpose. So
That's
happy
great.
to be here.
Awesome. And so do you do brand building for faith-driven people in particular? I've got that right, don't I?
Exactly. So I'm a brand builder for believers specifically.
Gotcha.
So faith-driven brands and businesses that are looking to, leverage LinkedIn, but also expand their network and create a greater and larger impact using their testimony.
Awesome. I love it. So tell me a little bit. Am I the only one that struggles with that distraction bug, or is that you too?
No, yes. Jake and I started talking about this a couple days ago about the distraction bug, which I like to disguise it as being a multi-potentialite
Mhm.
or
Is it?
multi-passionate. It sounds better than being distracted ADD entrepreneur,
Mhm.
which is I'm in my early 30s, and Jake said something on our clubhouse that really resonated with me. He mentioned that in his early 30s he was doing all the things, trying all different kinds of things, trying to find his calling, his passion, his purpose, and I could really relate to that. I think there's many of us, who are not in our early 30s and are still struggling with what is it that I'm supposed to do with my time here on Earth, and really finding out how to lean into that. What does that look like?
Mhm.
So I didn't mention too that I also, speaking of that, I also do have a podcast show called the Grind and Grace podcast, which
Mhm.
is for Christian entrepreneurs and believers looking to strengthen the relationship with the Lord while grinding, while hustling,
Mhm.
making our dreams come true.
Mhm.
But I think that, yeah, that piece of finding the quiet time, carving out the quiet time in your day to spend with the Lord, or on the weekend. Jake has mentioned that he spends quite a few hours, I think once a month, or uh, to lean in and spend that time with the Lord. So that's been really a big thread in our conversation, even in the clubhouse group that we have on Tuesdays.
Yep. Yep. For sure. So one of the things that Cassandra kind of brought to the clubhouse group, as you mentioned, was this wanting to really understand how she can better use her talents,
Yeah,
and not that you feel like you're wasting them, but that you just want
right.
to be even better, right? And so, and that got me thinking about there's so many different types of distractions that we have to deal with,
Mm,
even if we're not like actively pursuing a goal, just every day,
mm-hmm,
like distractions all over the place. So I was curious, for you as someone who, you do a lot, it appears,
mm-hmm.
right? You have a lot of things going on.
Mm-hmm.
How do you decide what gets in your day and what doesn't?
That's a great question. I love that question. I think I am starting to learn to take stock of what drains my energy and what
Mhm.
energizes me.
Mhm.
And so things that I've committed to in the past, out of a desire to please someone, right? People pleasing could be a whole other topic we could
Mm.
touch on. Um,
TED Talk.
but then, exactly.
Right.
And then really kind of hating myself for having said or being committed to that particular thing that really doesn't energize me or make me happy,
Mhm.
and learning from those, past experiences and saying, hey, we all have 24 hours in a day, right? If we can really lean into our strengths and do the things that bring us joy, I think that we will be more fulfilled and therefore useful to our family and to others that we're serving.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think for me, it's just identifying those things that do bring me joy, and really carving out morning time, making that uh, uh, a must every single day, like morning time, whether it's your meditation or you're in the Word, exercise, your journaling or devotional. Um, that has to be like solidified, or else I feel like the rest of my day is kind of
Mhm.
falls apart, if I don't have that. So whatever it looks like for you, if you have an hour or half an hour, just carving out that time in the morning, I think that really like expands your mind and gives you that energy to see what is on my schedule that I can like take off, that I prefer not to do. It's really a learning and experimentation process.
Yeah. So can you tell me about something recently, maybe where you felt like you had to choose between something that gives you energy and that doesn't? And like, can you think of something
Mm,
recently like that?
that's a great question. Okay. I can think of, yeah, for example, yesterday, as far as I had a Bible study at my house yesterday, last night, and that does energize me. Great, having people in my house energizes me, and being around with other believers energizes me.
Mhm.
But it may not for your spouse.
Mm.
And so, like,
Yeah.
actually, like, if some people are energized by others, and some people are drained.
Right.
So and respecting those boundaries. But staying on track to your question, Jake, as far as like noticing what drains and where I've had to shift it or move my time, or how did I respond to that? I kind of like to tweak the question a little bit and say that
Mhm.
in this scenario, uh, the people that you love that maybe don't aren't energized with the same things as you can also tend to like drain your energy,
Hmm.
right?
All right.
So I think this communicating and connecting with those people and checking in is an important part of protecting not only your energy but also that of your loved one or your spouse in that situation.
Yeah.
Does that
So
make sense?
yeah, it does, and it brings up another challenge I hear a lot of people talk about, and I sometimes I deal with this too. But I'm curious what your thoughts are when a lot of times when we talk about how to get rid of distraction or how to focus on the things that give us energy, or
Mm-hmm.
like we had all kind of call it something different, right? But we're really trying to get focused on the things that we want to do versus the things that don't really serve us or don't help us or don't give us energy.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like when you hear people talking about how to do that well, a lot of it has to do
Mm,
with communicating better, or
exactly.
setting boundaries, or something
Exactly.
in that, which can be a lot of work for people in itself to have those conversations, to set those boundaries, to sift through the things that are available. There's so much stuff that's available to you each day. How would you
Exactly.
tell someone? I guess I'm kind of feeling this out as we go. Like, because how would you
Yeah.
tell someone that work will save you work? You know what I mean? Like, you'll
Hmm.
actually be able to work on things if you'll go do this work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I hear a lot of pushback around, well, you're telling me I need to do this, and I need a calendar, and I need to talk to my significant others, and I do, like, that just feels like so much sometimes. I just want to do the stuff I want
Mm.
to do.
Yes.
So what do we do? I mean, like, how do we
Mm.
sort that out?
Yeah. That's a great question. I like to that's great that you asked that because what comes to mind for me is that um my husband is very much like he will set those boundaries. I'm more of like a people pleaser where I tend to will do things that I don't enjoy just to make someone else happy,
Mhm.
right? And he's very guarded with his time because he works 40 plus hours a week, and we all do, right? So you almost like don't have time to be like to extend your energy to the point where like you are depleted, and so you then not appreciate your past self for having done that, right? So I feel like I'm learning from him and that it's okay to say no, actually. And
Mhm.
that when we get comfortable using the word no, then we start to begin to set those boundaries for ourselves. And it can be a bit of an experiment, right? Initially, like the word no seems so harsh to me. Like
Mhm.
I'm going to let someone down or disappoint someone, but realizing that actually that is in service and in love for that other person who's asking you to do something that maybe
Mm.
doesn't align with your energy or your values or the space that you have to give for that particular day. It could be no, not now, even. It could be
Yeah.
something you do want to do and it needs to take place at another time.
Yeah.
So exercising that and being okay with that, knowing that it's in actually a service, it's in a place of love and service to both, the other person and yourself, instead of like a um, rejection of that person that maybe makes you cringe and is why you tend to say yes in the moment. So I think like it's getting comfortable with that, and having that peace within yourself, and confidence to show up and
Yeah.
be able to communicate that.
Right. No, no, it's so hard for a lot of people, even people that aren't people pleasers, because they're afraid they'll miss out on opportunity, not just.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, anybody who's out in the comments out there listening, if you have questions for Cassandra, put them in there. I'll go ahead and kick off one for business Cassandra here. So if you
Please,
want
okay, let me go
to
get
put your business
business
cap on.
Cassandra.
So,
Yes, exactly.
yeah. So feel free to ask, and we'll make sure and put them up here so that she can answer them. But the first question I have for business Cassandra as a brand builder is,
Yeah.
how do I know what to say no to when I'm building my brand?
Mm. How do I know what to say no to when I'm building my brand?
Right. Because we can't be everywhere.
Exactly. How do I know what to say no to when I'm building my brand?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd like to say that when you're building your brand, it takes a lot of time and energy to build your brand, right? To be on a platform and be consistently showing up. That can be exhausting,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're not maybe, and I don't like to necessarily separate people this way, but extroverted and introverted. Like if you actually do get energy from being around people, you most likely will get energy from building your personal brand too by like showing up and engaging with people on different platforms.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it goes back to like aligning right what drains you, what energizes you, knowing that pick up knowing that picking a platform, just like one platform to focus on first, and like
Mm-hmm.
saying no to the other ones, like right TikTok, Clubhouse, YouTube, Snapchat,
Right.
Instagram, Facebook. I mean, we can go on, right?
Right.
And when you build your personal brand, it's important to just start with one that really resonates with you, or maybe one that you're already on right now.
Right.
And then just focus your time and energy on building your personal brand on that one platform. Like really sink your teeth in, get to really know it. And it's, idiosyncrasies and, the algorithm on these different platforms, like that can be a full-time job in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then protecting your time and energy, like, hey, I'm going to post 2 times this week. I'm going to post a video and I'm going to post a text and image post. That's what I'm going to do this week for sure. I'm committed to doing that um, in honor of my consistency, my goal to grow my personal brand business. But then saying no to like having to be on 5 times a week and having to be on like, all these different platforms and then being exhausted and then like being burnt out that you actually just drop the whole thing altogether.
Right. Yep. That's true. The one platform thing is it's hard for people that like to show up to concentrate just on one.
Right. And I think that's like for people that yeah maybe are just starting out or aren't on any or just casually on one.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're being more intentional with your time
Mm.
and choosing to
Yeah.
show up in a different way, maybe not just casually like posting a picture of your food. You can still do those as well. But if you're like growing your business or your coaching practice that you like, you're showing up with more like strategy, strategic authenticity behind it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
takes more energy and time.
Yeah. And so, like, for example, I use StreamYard to stream to multiple places. So I'm streaming to 3 different places right now, but really one of them is where I focus my time. So
Right.
there's still technology and stuff that can help you if you want to do that. But like, I love what you said about being deliberate with where you're spending your time and knowing the people on that platform and the platform. So I
Exactly.
like that. Okay. Let's see. Anne says, do you know Kenya Neal? Be impressed by she's building her brand. So that might be somebody to check out. Kenya Neal.
Yes. Check out Kenny and Neil. Check out Amber. Amber was also one of my clients. She's
Oh,
doing
Bo, yeah, she does.
yes. She's
Mhm.
doing amazing. She came to me with no client with no clients and no personal brand on LinkedIn, having no knowledge of LinkedIn and really we worked together for over 12 weeks and yeah, she's taking it and running with it. Same with Kenya Neal. She's new to the platform. Love for you guys to go say hi and check her out. And she's a probation officer right now, actually, but she just wants to transition into more of a creative business. That's where she feels
Okay.
that the Lord's calling her. So we're also working together to build her brand on LinkedIn and get her showing up consistently on video. And it's a little
Got
bit of an experiment. So I want to encourage people who maybe haven't started building yet. It's definitely an experiment. Don't take it too seriously and feel like you have to have all this fancy equipment to get started. Just your phone or I started with my like laptop actually camera and was
Mhm.
like did a very awkward video and actually that resonates, with people.
It does.
Exactly. And funny story, Jake, too. Like the end of my first video, I winked and I never wink at people in real life. It was just kind of an awkward take or something that came out, in my first video that came out in
Yep.
my first video. And it's funny because now it's part of my brand. I pretty much wink at the end of every video and just meaning
Really?
like, yeah, yeah. Because now people ask for it. Like, oh,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So it's hilarious. It all started with an awkward, like, why did I even do that? Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, all that to say is just like start where you are, right? You don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great.
I love that. I love that. I love that it became a thing. That's so great.
It did. Yeah, it actually became a thing at the end of every video. And if I don't do it, someone in the comments will say like, "You didn't do your wink this time." And so it's kind of
Okay.
funny.
We'll
Yeah, it's
make
just
sure
something recognizable.
we'll make sure you wink when you leave today. Well, that the people get what they want. Let's see. Ann says, Jake, Jordan, you're really great at saying no to people. How do you do this tactfully? Great. Well, I'll tell you mine then, Cassandra, you
Great.
tell me what you do.
Yes.
I believe that you can only confidently say no when you know what's important to you. And so unless you have an extremely clear vision of where you're going, it becomes really hard to say no because you don't know what you're missing out on.
Very
And
good point.
so if I'm going, I have to get here. This is really important to me, and this does not align with that. It's easier for me to go. I would love to help you, but that's not something I have time for right now. So
Love that.
I'm a people pleaser too, in a way. And so I've had to build that in. That's definitely not something that I've been good at forever. So what
Yes.
about you? How do you say no in a tactful but confident manner?
Yeah, I would say something similar, like you mentioned, that knowing your values and what again, I keep going back to what drains your energy and what energizes you.
Yeah.
I usually will assess the request and like
Okay.
consider it, right? Maybe via text. So someone asks you to do something, and if it's in my like wheelhouse and what my week looks like, I kind of evaluate what's on my plate already.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's a firm no, as in like I don't have time for this ever, or I could do this at a later date. So yeah, tactfully and kindly, that yeah, this is in my wheelhouse, or I can refer you to someone else. And
Yes.
no, yeah,
I love the referral,
yes,
right? Which is why it's so important
absolutely,
to network, because you can't help everybody. So it's a great opportunity to say no in a really great way. Like, no, but you should meet.
exactly. You should meet Jake Jordan or Ann
Yeah.
Small. Like they are
Yeah.
great at building
I love
brands
that.
and businesses. Yep, exactly. The referral is great.
So
Tactful no.
Wayne Gill is someone who is a moderator with us on Tuesdays. And on
Yes.
my post about this, he had a great piece of advice, which is, it may be a little hardcore for some people. I'm actually very similar to the way he does it, is he goes in 6-week chunks and plans out 6 weeks at a time. And,
Wow.
and says, this is what I'm doing. This is what's important to me. This is what has to happen. And then he blocks it all out in his calendar, but he said it actually allows him to be more flexible in parts of
Yes.
his day, because he knows the stuff he needs to get done is going to get done. Whereas
Right.
and you actually said this when you and I were talking last week, Sandra, is reacting versus responding,
Yes.
right? So tell me more
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Reacting versus responding.
And specifically too to seeking God and direction for our business and our lives. Even as people are very like reactive to situations versus responding, which just definitely has a big different connotation to it. Where I think Wayne Gill's example is great, where you have 6 weeks planned out so you can respond to people in a very tactful manner and respectful manner of like, hey, actually, here are some chunks of time I know for sure I have that I can fit in this, this call, this networking call, versus like reacting where we have nothing planned. Our whole week is in disarray. So we're reacting to every single situation or person that comes into our sphere.
Yep.
And it's depleting and exhausting, and it's not sustainable.
It's not. You're right. And what's sad about that too is it's even the good stuff you do depletes you, just because you're in such a reactionary state all week, that even the good stuff wears you down because you're not focused
A
in on
great point.
priorities. So it's one of my favorite things as a pastor, Matt Chandler, actually here in Dallas Fort Worth, that said that some of Satan's best work is morally neutral things, nothing good or bad, but they come into your life and take up space where they don't need to have space, right? And we just slide into them. Like he said, TV is kind of one of those things. Like it can be a morally neutral thing, but it just takes up all this time when you could be chasing something else. So Gabe says, what kind of people are people pleasers on the DISC assessment? Well, from my understanding, eyes are the heavy people pleasers. They tend to be because they get a lot of their value in relationships and with people, and they're influencers by nature. I'm an I on my DI on the DISC. So everyone can be a people pleaser because it's
Very
just
true.
something that we deal with. But I's tend to have a bigger deal with it because of where they get their value.
Interesting.
So, let's see. Rebecca says it's super easy to overschedule yourself. You have to stay on top of your own calendar or someone else will. So true, Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
I had a boss that once said, no, it wasn't a boss. It was Brendan Burchard, actually. If you know Brendan Burchard. He said, email is other people's priorities for your day.
Great point.
It's because they're almost always requesting something of you. So
well said.
Cool, Cassandra. Well, thank you so much for spending a little time with us today. Tell people where they can find you and come hang out with you.
Yes, please. Well, so like I said about social media, I'm really a one-hit wonder, and you can find me on LinkedIn at Cassandra Robinson. Also, please feel free to check out my podcast, the Grinding and Grace podcast. It's on Apple and all sorts of other platforms. I think Doozer and what have you. But you can also actually reach me on Instagram as well. I just started posting there because everyone's giving me a hard time at Grinding and Grace.
So Grinding and Grace is where you can find Cassandra, and I think
you
can put the podcast in the comments so you can find her there.
Perfect.
Good place to start, or on LinkedIn. Cool.
And thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a bunch. We appreciate you, and we're going to close up now. So we will see you in a minute here, Cassandra. So hang tight. All right. And so, as we do at the end of every show, I want to encourage you guys to take whatever you learned today and put it into action because, knowledge is great, conversation is great, but if you don't do anything about it, your life won't change. You won't have bigger impact. You won't do the things you want to do. So if you are interested in finding ways or getting accountability or interested in people helping you make more impact and go where you go, I have an accountability group that is pay what you want. You can pay me $1. There's the 30-day challenge helping you reach one goal. And we go on a 30-day sprint together. And you can go right there to bit.ly/30 days apply. And you can come join my group right now. We kicked off last Monday, and we're already making progress. And it's fantastic to have other people to hang out with that really care about making an impact. So thanks again for joining us this week. We will be back Monday at noon Central. So we hope to see everyone there. And have a great weekend. And if you need any help with anything, feel free to reach out. I am Bald Jake most places. But thanks. Have a great weekend, y'all.